Welcome to the Real Construction Owners Podcast, where we interview real construction owners and businessmen doing great things to help you go from being a stressed out operator to a thriving owner who's living their dream life. Today, we have a friend and a special guest, Jordan Berry, the owner of laundromatresource.com. He has a great story. And I know you're thinking, why would I want to listen to a guy who owns laundromats? Well, listen. There's going to be nuggets of wisdom here that apply to your construction business, investing, and growing your brand. So pay close attention. What's up, Jordan? How you doing today, brother?
I'm doing awesome, man. How you doing?
Man, we are so blessed and so favored. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me on. I'm excited.
It's a pleasure, bro. So, we're both living the dream. Sun is shining. We get to go surfing on a regular basis. We got little kids and just building these businesses. So our audience, they want to know some goods. They want to hear some tactics. But before we dive in all that, I'd like to hear your story and brag a little bit. Walk us down memory lane. Tell us, why should people listen to you? Tell us your story.
Yeah, well, it's going to start off really sounding like not bragging because my story does not start well. At least my story in business does not start well. So I was actually a pastor for 15 years and was ready to kind of get out of that vocationally and was trying to figure out what to do. Had a little cash in the bank and owned a house here in Southern California. And I had a great idea. I had two little kids at that time. And I had a great idea. I said to my wife, why don't we rent out our house here in California, take our money, go buy a condo on the beach in Hawaii, live there till our kids are school aged. And, once, they're school aged, maybe we can come back to California and net gain condo in Hawaii. And my wife said, could do that, or we could buy a laundromat. And so we ended up with a laundromat and not a condo in Hawaii.
Oh man, that's like I really want a condo in Hawaii, but you got a laundromat, so that's a cash flowing asset. Carry on.
Well, that's the theory, at least. The laundromat we ended up with. So when we got in the business, we really didn't know a whole lot about it. I did as much research as I could at the time. This was like 7-8 years ago. It's probably like 8 years ago now. There wasn't really a ton of information out there about laundromats and what you need to know to buy them. And they're mostly cash businesses. And with that comes risk when you buy it, because it's really difficult to know a lot of times, how a laundromat's performing and, what needs to be done to get it performing if it's not performing, because you just don't have the information. So we bought our first laundromat and it was a bad experience. We bought it not really knowing a whole, relying solely on the broker to help us through the situation. It turns out, I find out later, that the broker is pretty notorious for not most upright person and sold us a laundromat that, was really never going to perform anywhere near what he said it was going to perform. And so we ended up losing like $1,500, $2,000 a month for like 18 months when we were expecting to make, 7 to 10 grand a month, which is what the broker told us. And so it was rough, man. It was very stressful and very difficult to navigate. And I just remember and maybe some of you guys out there listening can relate to this, and just owning businesses and specifically in construction, just grasping anywhere for who can help me figure this out. I just need to dig myself out of this situation. And I really I struggled finding somebody to help me do that. So that's why I think podcasts like yours this is great to have, people coming on talking about their construction businesses, talking about the lessons they've learned, talking about, or sharing, being willing to share with other people. It's just invaluable. And especially when I think you're first getting started in business. So that didn't go well. And so then, my way of digging out of my hole, which I don't necessarily recommend, was to go buy another one. So I went and bought another laundromat.
Nice.
Got an off-market deal. Double down, man. That's right. Yeah, that's right. Double down. And that's sort of my MO. It's the opposite of my wife's MO, which, can cause some strife sometimes, especially when you buy that second one. And then not long after you take over that one, a large brand new one gets constructed down the road and sucks out, 30, 40% of your business and evaporates like that. So tough, expensive, difficult lessons to learn there. And, once I kind of clawed my way, out of that hole, then I started realizing, hey, there's other people who struggle in this industry similarly. And so I just started writing down, blog posts on lessons I've learned. I'm like, these are expensive lessons. I can share these with people. And, nobody should have to learn the lessons that I learned the way that I learned them. So I'll just tell you. Right. And then I started a YouTube channel, and then then I was like, well, hey, if I really want to be great in this business and do really well, I should probably just talk to the people who are doing the best. So like you, I just started interviewing other people in the industry and started a podcast where I interview laundromat owners, which I know sounds exciting, but it's been really awesome to hear from other people and their experience and all that. So yeah,
isn't it amazing? Like the lessons that I gained from that is you were looking to buy assets over liabilities, and you were looking at either a property in Hawaii or a laundromat. Instead of just buying a boat or a Rolex or whatever, you were actually like, I'm going to divert that fund towards something that could pay me back. That's lesson number one. And that's wealth principle number one is always be buying assets, because those assets will keep paying you month after month after month, and they can grow, and you can also sell them. You can depreciate them, and there's so many tax benefits. So that's lesson number one. Lesson number two is you sought guidance from mentors. You sought guidance from people in your niche to help you get past your barriers. And that's why I put this together. And that's why I have my retreats here in Costa Rica, because I want people to come together and learn and grow and get past their barrier and, sell an extra 2 or 3 or 5 million a year because they got past that barrier. So those are the lessons I derived from what you just said. And since you've done that, what has been the outcome of those laundromats?
But one of the things I found, which is kind of interesting, in business is, and I kind of talk about this with people that I consult with now, is there's when you're running a business, you're buying a business, or you're starting a business, there's sort of two numbers that you look at. One is what kind of return on the investment are you going to get, specifically when you're buying a business, right? So what percentage return, and are you okay with that percentage? But then the second number to look at is there's a threshold somewhere in there, right? And I could say, hey, I'll sell you a laundromat and you'll get 1,000% return on your money, but you're going to make $1,000 a year. Well, I mean, is it worth it to run a business for $1,000 a year? Maybe, maybe not. Probably not. And so somewhere there's a threshold in there that you need to make enough money. And what I found is that threshold shifts as you mature in the business and as you add more assets and as your time becomes more valuable, which I think also is a great concept to be thinking of as a construction business owner is, what tasks you spending your time on, and are those up to the value of your your hourly wage. So you asked how are the businesses doing? They're both doing okay now. The first one I bought, though, that was supposed to be, just killing it. It was never going to do what the broker said it was going to do. And so it nets, $3,000 to $5,000 a month, which is great. I originally,
that's pretty good passive income right there, buddy.
Yeah. And I originally bought it for 60 cash. I put financed equipment that has been paid off now for another 125. So I'm 185 in. So it does pretty well. That threshold mark has moved now. And so actually I'm selling that one and moving on to bigger and better things there. So yeah, doing well, but as things evolve, I need to evolve. So yeah.
So that one's doing 3 to 5K a month. It's pretty passive. It's paid off. The materials or the equipment's paid off. How about the other one, the second one?
Yeah. So the other one I bought with the real estate. And so that one does about 7-ish a month, in cash flow. And so, that one does well. And then, one of the benefits of buying the real estate with the laundromat is that the values of each are tied to each other. And you can kind of manipulate the values depending on how you move money around, basically. So basically by charging a higher rent to the laundromat, I can increase the value of the real estate there. So that's pretty nice.
Love that. So many lessons that you just said. First lesson is, as the owner of a company, what are you spending your time on? And number two, what is your time worth? What should a CEO of a company be focused on? Well, in my opinion, they should be focused on finding rock stars. And number two, finding the best people for each seat. And if you do that and you have your SOPs and you have your processes and protocols in place, your business can run without you having to oversee everything. And then you get to truly become an owner instead of an operator. And then lesson number two is own the asset, buy a building. Because if you're a construction company and you're renting a place or you're renting a room out of your house or you're paying 1,000 or 2,000 and you're renting something, that money could be allocated towards a mortgage. And you might pay less or more, but either way, you're owning the asset and you get to write it off. It appreciates in value. You get tax benefits. Case in point, bought a place in Houston when I first opened the doors for my roofing and solar company, 200-ish thousand. Now it's worth over 340,000. I haven't been there in years, but I have somebody paying me pure cash, $2,500 a month after month. And it's worth, 100 plus thousand more than when I bought it. So own the asset and understand what you need to be spending your time on. So Jordan, changing gears a little bit, you have acquired these companies and you also have some real estate that's helped your net worth. It sounds like you divvied or derived some of that funds you make and put it in real estate. Talk to us about your portfolio of real estate and like what your goals are of acquiring more real estate.
So don't have a ton of real estate. I have a couple of doors residential and one commercial building, small commercial building. But one of the things I love about sort of laundromats and real estate is that laundromats are great for cash flow. People talk about real estate a lot for cash flow, which is good, but I see cash flow in real estate more as like insurance almost for the downside because you're getting a relatively small, maybe 8 or 10% a lot of times on or less on your real estate. But the average laundromat deal without even using a loan is getting 20 to 25% return on your money. So what I love about how they play together is that you can invest in a business like construction business for your income, your cash flow, or a laundromat or whatever. And have your cash flow go in that way to support your life. And hopefully that becomes more and more passive. I think that's the goal, right? And that goes back to, what are you spending your time on? And I see a lot of construction owners and shop owners and stuff who are very, they're that sort of, if you've read the book E-Myth Revisited, they're the very, I forget the word he uses off the top of my head. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Yeah. They love doing the thing, right? You love doing the construction, you love building things. And that's why you start a construction business. But at some point, if you want it to become more passive, and if you want it to scale up, you need to shift your roles from the one who's swinging the hammer to the one who is like you said, finding the rock stars who can swing the hammer the best and creating sort of the vision for the company and making sure you're staying on that path there. So I see that a lot. So yeah, so I love the cash flow from the business and then the equity gains that you can see, like that 100,000 in your building from the real estate.
It's interesting. Alex Hermosi, who he owns like the gym launch. He also has acquisitions.com. Last year he made 31 or 33 million or something. And he's like somebody I look up to and aspire and listen to. And he was talking about like, as business owners, you, me, and the people listening to this podcast and this YouTube channel is, yes, we need to double down on our business and we need to put money into investments, not with the hopes of making a ton of money. Yeah, it'd be great to make a lot of money, but it's just a security net. Like real estate, I invest majority of my money into real estate and syndications because it is better than just sitting it in a bank account that's not going to do anything for me. And I also invested in self-directed insurance, like investment. What is it called? It's called Infinite banking.
Yeah.
Infinite banking, where you become your own bank. So the point is, like Alex said, he's like, sure, I've got all this money, but I double my efforts down on my business, and I put the money aside for things instead of just losing money in the bank account. I'd rather have it working for me and making 5, 6, 7, 8%. Now, I'm curious, what would you say is your superpower, Jordan?
Yeah. Uh, it's not, I'll tell you and be very honest about it. It's not operating laundromats. Those have been hard earned skills, that I'm still working on and perfecting. So it's not that for sure. I mean, I think my superpower really is connecting people. That's, that's the goal. So I have this laundromat podcast, right? My whole goal with the laundromat podcast was, on the selfish side, it was to learn what the best people in the business are doing. And on the altruistic side is to connect people in the industry so that everybody can help each other, and kind of like what you're doing, like sharing, the secret sauce of how they're doing so well in their business, and what tips and tricks and strategies other owners can implement to, increase their
Grow.
business, and who else in the industry, what other tools, resources, companies, options, software is there in the industry that can help laundromat owners grow. So, yeah.
Curious about, you mentioned you created a blog post after you started your podcast to teach people stuff, because everybody's an expert in their own way. If you're 2 years ahead of somebody who's just going down this journey, you're considered an expert. Period.
Totally.
If
Yeah.
you've read more books on the subject, you're considered an expert on the topic. So I want to ask you personally about your blog post, because I've been saying I need to create a blog. Can you walk me through like how that works? What are you using? Are you using like what website, and how do you do it? How do you automate it? And how do you streamline it? And how do you delegate it and all that?
Yeah. So I have and actually this would be good for construction company owners too, because
for sure. They're out in the field, they're making videos, they can put that onto a blog.
Yeah. This is an underutilized strategy for, in-person businesses. We see it a lot with like online marketplaces and stuff, but this is underutilized and the bar is very low. So, I mean, and I didn't start out trying to build some company or anything. I was just trying to share lessons that I learned. And so it started out with, I just went to like bluehost.com, bought a domain name, bought hosting, and then there's like a one-click install for WordPress, right? So I installed WordPress, and I did a little research on how to utilize WordPress, and so WordPress uses plugins, and it's basically different kind of modules that you can plug into the WordPress to help you create what you want to create. So one of the things that I found it's very popular plugin, it's called Elementor, and Elementor is a visual kind of drag and drop Facebook, not Facebook, website page creator. And so, you can drag in, blocks for text, blocks for headings, blocks for photos, for videos, all kinds of different things, charts, graphs, all that stuff. And so I used this Elementor to basically create laundromatresource.com. And on there, there's with WordPress, it has a page designated as your blog page. So you can just go in, you can design that page however you want to with Elementor, and write whatever you want. So I just started writing about the lessons that I had learned from starting my my journey into laundromats and the horrible experiences. So I was pretty transparent and just shared like, hey, I did not have a good situation, but here's what I learned and here's why. And, these lessons cost me 6 figures probably. So,
there you go.
Better for you if you listen to them. It's up to you, but
and with that, is there like an email opt-in, and do you know like the SEO data of how many people are visiting, and like how are you driving traffic besides, or where your traffic coming from?
Yeah. So okay. So there's so I wrote a short little ebook. It's, I don't know, 12 pages or something like that, on I think it's called The Keys to Buying Your First Laundromat. And that became sort of my lead magnet, my freebie that I give away. So people will opt in there. But then over time, I had created some tools to help me manage my business, like some Excel spreadsheets and stuff like that, and things like that. So what I did was I created a free membership on the website. And when you sign up for the free membership, you get the ebook, you get the and access to all the tools and all that. And then I also added a forum onto my website. And so if people want to comment on the forum or ask a question or whatever, you have to log in also. So it's a free membership and it has all those tools. They're all free and included there. And then that started getting people to sign up. So in terms of how many people are coming, I'm getting about 30 to 35,000 page views a month,
Wow.
which is, pretty good. I feel like for a little laundromat website. I mean, there's tons of websites doing way better than that,
Pretty
but
good, brother.
yeah. But one of the things actually that really helped drive a lot of traffic was I started a YouTube channel where I just started basically teaching a lot of the same lessons on there. And then also, I have the podcast and I post the podcast also on YouTube, and that has driven a lot of traffic. In fact, I can see a correlation in the analytics of, because YouTube goes in waves, it goes up and then it plateaus or it go down a little and then it'll go up. And I can see the correlation of the website traffic to the YouTube traffic. So I do get a lot of traffic from those YouTube videos also.
And contractors, this is not like rocket science. It might sound like rocket science if you've never heard of this stuff, but like you're already out on the job. You can make a video, 3 things you need to know about hiring a contractor, or 5 things you need to know as a homeowner when building a roof, or whatever it is, if you're a plumber or HVAC guy. And then you can take that video, you can find somebody on Fiverr and get it edited for 5 to 20 bucks. And then you can take that and put it in a software that transcribes everything you said, and then you can put it on your website. And from there, have like a contact where it'll basically be SEO for your business, where they can, basically pick up the phone to hire you. So,
real quick on that. So just to kind of put some sort of meat on those bones. First of all, if you want to go look at Laundromat Resource on YouTube. My videos they're nothing special. They're not like great quality necessarily, but it's good information for the people, right? That I'm, targeting. And, Alex Hormozy, I think, is like king of this, right? He's in his closet or whatever with his nose strip on, and he's just giving good information, and people eat it up, right? And so don't get intimidated by the quality of the video, especially initially. Like, that stuff evolves over time and you get better over time, but it's more about like, think about who your avatar is, your customer is. What information do you have that can help them? And what I found is you can give all the information away for free. You can give all of it away for free. And what it does is, I think a lot of us think if I give all the information away for free, people aren't going to need me anymore. And that's not true. What's true of today's economy is information is free. Implementation is what costs money. And that's exactly what you are. So instead of having the mindset of, if I give away the information, my competitor's going to get it, or I'm going to, they're not going to need me anymore because they'll know whatever. Have the mindset of, if I give the information away for free, people are going to see, number one, that I care. And number two, that I know what I'm talking about. And number three, they're going to trust me more because I'm giving the information away. And guess what? Now they know, like, trust you. And that's the trifecta of who's going to want to do business with you. Right. And that's the power of YouTube specifically, even over a blog, is that people see you face to face, they hear your voice, and you're giving them good information, and it converts. It converts.
Man, I love that. That's some good information. Information is free. Implementation is what costs. And that's one of the reasons I created Federal Construction University. I spent a lot of money, time, heartache, and efforts to figure out how to win government contracts. And I just said, you know what? I'm just going to give a lot of it away for free. And then the ones who want me to hold their hand and coach them week after week and be successful, those are the ones that will say, "Hey, Justin, what do I got to do to work with you?" So I love that you do that. Now, with your laundromat resource, I know you have a syndication or you have investment opportunities. Can you talk on that a little bit to the contractor who's listening to you and says, "Hey, maybe I'll explore owning a laundromat or being part of owner of a laundromat"?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, so I have one of the benefits of having a podcast and having your face out there on YouTube. One of the downsides is that you're going to get your hecklers, and
Oh, you're
so
gonna
I
get
got
haters. You're gonna get
yeah,
haters. I have haters that hate on me so bad. I'm like, whatever, dude. I
yeah.
don't give a damn about y'all.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I'm long-winded and a slow talker in the way that I know that mostly is, well, number one, because my wife tells me both of those things. But number two, everybody on YouTube tells me that. Yes. But one of the other benefits besides the haters is and the fun you can have with them
Yeah.
is that people start to recognize you and want to do business with you and start to see you as an authority in your space. So what I did was I partnered with two of the best guys I know in the industry, and we started a little investment fund here where we're going to be doing capital raises to go out and buy laundromats with investors. And the beauty of laundromats is that they're so good with the cash flow that there's meat on the bone for investors and there's meat on the bone for us as the operators of the fund, and having just the benefit of having the best people in the industry, and myself excluded, but the best people in the industry, and we have between us, I think we have 17 laundromats, and so there's just a depth of experience there and systems that are already in place that we can just kind of move and plop onto new laundromats that we buy, and marketing engines. And there's a whole kind of game plan around what do they look like, how do we operate them, what's our pricing structure, all that stuff that we can just kind of drop on there. So that's called Diligence Capital Investments. If you're interested, you can check that out, but
Cool.
also
So
utilize
diligent,
that for your stuff. Yeah.
yeah, due diligence capital investments is people who you're working with, and if you're interested as a contractor, you have money and you want to, diversify your portfolio. Obviously, do your own research, do your own due diligence. What's the resource they need to go to contact you regarding that?
You can check out diligencecapitalinvestments.com, or you could just email me directly, jordan@laundromatresource.com. And that's Laundromat. A lot of people put the Y in there instead of an O, but it's an O, laundromatresource.com.
Laundro, California. I'm wondering why it's called Dro, but let's just change topics. Okay. Just kidding. So, best tip you can give to an owner who is leading a team and wants to leave a legacy.
Yeah. Uh, Listen, I would say be the owner and give people the responsibility, and that's a process of handing over responsibility to other people, but give people responsibility and the authority to be able to carry out your vision for the business, right? And that comes down to finding ways and times to let go of the things that you have been white knuckle ripping for a long time, right? And it goes back to, being that operator who loves swinging the hammer and being in there, and I've got some buddies who are in construction and who own shops who they do it because they love doing the thing. But if you're trying to build a business, you're trying to build a legacy, you're trying to employ more people, you're trying to scale up, you're trying to have a more free life, that comes by working on the bigger things, the whole working on the business, not as much in the business, and handing over trust, authority, responsibility to the people that you've went out and the rock stars that you went out and found. Let them be rock stars and really celebrate them and build them up. I think it's easy to get frustrated when people make mistakes and put people down. But I've found that if you can build people up and give them the confidence, because usually all it is the skills can be taught, the confidence has to be given. you have to give it to the people, right? And so your employees, give them the confidence, celebrate when they do something right, obviously guide them when they don't, but give them that authority, give them your trust, and let them be the rock stars that they are.
Wow, bro. So many nuggets of wisdom right there. Contractors, if you're listening in, let us know where you're listening and what type of construction you specialize in. Drop a comment below. We love to see those. And if you want to take your business to the next step, reach out to me. We have 4 retreats a year in Costa Rica. We teach you how to become an owner. How can I have a 8-figure company and not be there and it all run by itself? Because I've figured things out like Jordan has. So Jordan, one more time, if somebody wants to get a hold of you to learn or potentially learn more, potentially do investment syndication with you, how can they reach out to you?
Yeah, probably the best way, Jordan, Jordan, at laundromatresource.com.
Thank you for being on the Real Construction Owners podcast, brother.
Thank you for having
Peace.
me.
Amen.